These are 20 of the craziest moments in NFL history. A pass caught against a helmet, a quarterback seeing ghosts, a butt fumble heard around the world, and even a halftime show that changed television forever. From miracle catches to total chaos, these are the plays fans still can't believe happened. Few NFL moments are as jaw-dropping as what happened between the Browns and Steelers in 2019. Tempers were already high, the hits were flying, and then Myles Garrett did the unthinkable. He ripped Mason Rudolph's helmet off and swung it at his bare head. The stadium went silent for a heartbeat, then erupted into chaos. Players froze, fans screamed, and suddenly everyone watching knew they were witnessing something that would be talked about for decades. It was violent, surreal, and unforgettable, a moment that redefined what on-field chaos even means. And just when you think the madness is limited to players, the fans of Cleveland decided to remind the world that they could get in on the action too. In 2001, during a game against the Jaguars, a blown call sent the crowd into full-on fury. Hundreds of beer bottles and trash rained down onto the field, forcing the referees to stop the game early for safety. Security scrambled, players ducked, and the scene looked more like a war zone than a football stadium. Bottlegate proved that in the NFL, sometimes the audience is just as unpredictable as the game itself. If you thought the lights going out were reserved for movies, think again. Super Bowl 47, Ravens vs. 49ers, 2013. Millions of eyes glued to the TV when suddenly, darkness. The stadium plunges into black for over half an hour. Players stretch, fans murmur, commentators scramble to fill the silence. Conspiracy theories flare, momentum debates erupt, and for a while, no one is sure if the game can even continue. It wasn't just a blackout, it was a dramatic pause in history, a moment where the NFL reminded everyone that anything can happen, even when the world is watching. And then there was Minneapolis, 2010. A blizzard dumped so much snow on the Metrodome that the roof literally gave way. Massive chunks of snow cascaded onto the field, forcing the Vikings to move a home game to Detroit. Cameras captured it like a cinematic disaster film, snow tumbling like slow-motion chaos. The players dodged, the fans gasped, and the league scrambled to recover. It's one thing to play in a snowstorm. It's another to have the building itself join in on the spectacle. Here's a play that defines impossible catches. Super Bowl 42. The Giants are on the brink. Eli Manning's pocket collapses, defenders everywhere. He throws a desperation pass, and Tyree leaps like the laws of physics don't apply, pinning the ball to his helmet midair. Twisting, falling, somehow holding on, he makes the impossible happen. The crowd erupts, history is made, and everyone watching questions reality for a second. And then, there's a confrontation that felt more like a boxing match than football. Texans vs. Titans, 2010. Trash talk escalated, shoves turned into punches, and Andre Johnson ripped off Cortland Finnegan's helmet mid-brawl. Helmets flew, fists connected, officials scrambled, and millions watched live. Both were ejected, fined, and suspended. But the scene lives forever as one of the ugliest, most intense on-field fights in NFL history. Football had never looked quite like this, and even weather has a way of turning NFL games into pure chaos. Take the Fog Bowl in 1988, Bears vs. Eagles. A thick, eerie fog rolled in and never let up. Players could barely see 10 yards ahead. Fans squinted through the gray, and the game felt more like a horror movie than football. Every pass, every tackle was a gamble in a ghostly haze, leaving everyone on edge and proving that sometimes nature is the ultimate wild card. And just a few years ago, snow became the star of the show in Philly. Eagles vs. Lions, 2013. The field was a white blur, snow falling so heavily it was almost impossible to track the ball. LaShawn McCoy somehow rushed for over 217 yards. Every step kicked up clouds of powder, players disappeared and reappeared, and the fans were left in awe. It wasn't just a game, it was a winter spectacle that turned ordinary football into something cinematic and unforgettable. Sometimes football looks like magic. Vikings vs. Bills, 2022, 4th and 18. Kirk Cousins throws a desperation pass, and Justin Jefferson, falling backward in double coverage, snags it with one hand. The defenders freeze like they just witnessed witchcraft, and the Vikings march on to win in overtime. It's jaw-dropping. Did that really happen? Kind of moment. the kind that gets replayed endlessly. Then, back on the more bizarre side of chaos, there's Tommy Kelly. During a routine tackle against the Broncos, his waistband gave out in front of 65,000 fans and national TV. Cameras caught it, fans laughed, and teammates probably never let him live it down. Even superhuman NFL players are at the mercy of the universe, and sometimes that universe just wants to humiliate you mid-game. Sometimes the NFL turns the impossible into reality. Take Brandon Ayuk, for example. A routine pass ricochets off a defender's helmet, and somehow Ayuk tracks the chaos midair and snatches the ball off a face mask that isn't even his own. The crowd erupts in disbelief. It's one of those plays that makes you question gravity, logic, and every rule of probability you thought you understood. And then there's the moment when a simple game turns into an all-out comedy. Remember Jimmy Graham dunking the football so hard over the crossbar that the goalpost bent? Maintenance crews had to rush onto the field mid-game while fans cheered, and for a few glorious seconds, physics itself seemed to take a timeout. The NFL eventually banned goalpost dunking celebrations, but Graham's moment remains a wild mix of power, style, and pure chaos. Sometimes NFL chaos comes from the most unexpected places. Giants vs. Cowboys, 2019, Monday Night Football. In the middle of the game, a black cat bolts across the field. Players freeze, fans roar, and Kevin Harlan goes full play-by-play. He's at the 30, the 20, the 10, touchdown, cat. And then there's Sam Darnold, whose meltdown became an instant legend. On Monday Night Football, after throwing his third interception of the night, he slumps on the bench and mutters, "I'm seeing ghosts." Live.
Seeing ghosts.
On national TV. The Patriots' defense smirks, Twitter explodes, and suddenly a single line defines a young quarterback's legacy. It's cringe, it's chaotic, and it's unforgettable in that very specific NFL way. Next up is pure comedic gold. It's Thanksgiving night, the stadium's packed, everyone's glued to the screens, and Sanchez spots an opening, or so he thinks. He runs straight into his teammate. The collision knocks the ball loose, Patriots scoop it up, and suddenly a national meme is born. It's absurd, it's hilarious, and somehow you can't look away. And then there's Jim Marshall, Vikings in the 1960s, sprinting full speed after a fumble in the wrong direction. 66 yards later, he's celebrating like he just won the Super Bowl, hands the ball to a fan, and everyone watching collectively loses their minds. The kicker? He just scored for the other team.
It's picked up by Jim Marshall, who's running the wrong way.
Chaos, comedy, and pure NFL absurdity rolled into one unforgettable play. Sometimes the NFL makes headlines off the field just as much as on it. Super Bowl 38, halftime show, Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. Janet's dancing, all eyes on her. And then, suddenly, the most watched event in America turns into a national scandal. Fines, apologies, lawsuits, and delayed broadcasts followed, forever changing how halftime shows are produced. The game went on, sure, but for years, half the conversation was about what everyone saw and couldn't unsee. Sometimes, a play makes you question if anyone on the field is human. 2020, Cardinals vs. Bills. Seconds left, Kyler Murray rolls out and heaves a desperate throw into triple coverage. Three defenders, including Tre'Davious White, leap for the interception, but DeAndre Hopkins soars above them like he's defying gravity. He snatches the ball in midair, lands in the end zone, and the stadium erupts. Game over. Miracle catch. Instant legend. And if you thought that was unbelievable, flashback to 2014. Russell Wilson launches a deep pass into tight coverage. The ball ricochets off a defender's leg, then chest, and somehow lands in Jermaine Kearse's hands as he's falling backward. He bounces up and sprints into the end zone while the Packers' defense just stands there, frozen. A play that felt scripted, but wasn't. Just pure NFL chaos. We can't talk about NFL miracles without revisiting this moment. Super Bowl 51, chaos all around. Brady lines up wide for a trick play. The ball sails toward him, fingers reaching, the stadium holding its breath. And then, it slips through his hands. Even the greatest quarterback of all time isn't immune to gravity. And in that split second, everyone watching realizes that in the NFL, perfection is always just one play away from becoming perfectly human. And there you have it. 20 moments that prove the NFL isn't just football, it's pure madness disguised as a sport. What's your favorite impossible moment that didn't make the list?